Welcome, everybody. So we're getting on live here, both on Facebook and Instagram. I have something exciting to talk about today. All right, great. So today we're talking about guns and your spiritual nature. So if you've been following, me, you've been noticed that this past weekend I was at a 4-day firearms training in Nevada, learning how to use firearms, handguns. And before I actually went and did this, I have to tell you that my views about guns were very different. I was born and raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I have this little tickle, sorry about that. I was born and raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and guns were totally off limits. Like, you would be excommunicated if you used a gun and it happened to kill someone, even if you were completely defending yourself. And so basically guns were off off limits. So I never thought of using a gun. And then even after I left, I kind of just had this idea that if you have a gun, you're going to attract the need to use it. And so because I listen to how Spirit directs me and guides me, I listen. When Spirit says do this more than one time in a very short period of time, I pay attention. So that's what happened. So I ended up going to this firearms training. And, prior to this, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't felt triggered. I wasn't anxious about going. And because I just pretty much live in the present moment. However, when I got to the training and the guns started going off, I was very, very triggered. I almost started to cry. And I held it together. And at lunchtime, though, I decided to look at the energies around this. I use every opportunity I can whenever I get triggered as an opportunity to see what wants more healing, what is getting triggered here, that I can clear energetically. I know everything has an energetic reason. So at lunchtime, I asked the question to myself, how many times have I been killed with a gun? And the number came up to be 5. And 2 of those lifetimes were still unresolved. So I looked at those, discovered one, I had been executed. And the second one, my gun jammed, and I ended up getting killed. So I cleared all the energies related to these unresolved issues. Then when I went back after lunch to resume the training, I tried to pull up those emotions, and they were nowhere to be found. I was not triggered by any of this anymore. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't angry. Nothing. So this is how things like this can be used to clear energies that get triggered, that get stirred up. And then there's a big question around guns, whether or not this can be part of your spiritual nature. Like guns seem like to be the opposite of a spiritual nature, which is more loving and more kind and compassionate. And guns just seem to be in the opposite direction. So I have a lot of different views now about guns, because one thing that I realized, and probably one of the most important parts of the training, was that you're not training to use a gun to go out and go and be a mercenary and kill all the robbers and all the bad guys. The only point of training to use a gun is to keep threats away if you ever needed it. So the whole point is, hopefully you will never need to use that gun. But if you did need to use it, you will be prepared, right? So that's kind of the point around guns. You bring a jacket just in case. You better be a little more prepared. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. It's why people have insurance for their cars and so forth. So there's also a few other things that I noticed during all of this training and sort of the afterwards, because afterwards, you go for a training like this, which is very intense, and I used the opportunity throughout the whole thing to see maybe different places where my energy kind of got congested or stuck. And it would get stuck around the solar plexus. Like I would start to feel a little powerless, or I don't know, different energies would start showing up. And so I would clear those. And I actually did remarkably well for a first time out. And so what I've noticed in the because of having done this training, because you're going to keep clearing even after you go through the training, like the in the days that followed after I got back, lots of like head pressure and just more. I could just tell there was more stuff getting released and that had been triggered. And so one thing I noticed is that the balance of my masculine and feminine energy. Now, toting a gun seems very masculine, right? That's your protector. And so it was like my inner masculine was amplified even more, which allows my feminine energy to feel even safer to step into more of my own feminine energy. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. And so, I'm not here to say, go out and buy a gun, or that everybody should. I think everybody should be trained to be safe with the firearms if you ever needed to use it. But I'm not here to say, I'm that you should be for or against guns. I'm not here to do that. But what I am here is just to share some of the energies that happen around this. And, as things are progressing and society is, as the wheels are starting to come off, as more of the darker energies are fading away, and as we are stepping into more of our power, that's what I'm an advocate of, is stepping into our ultimate power. Well, how do we do that? And one of the things that you may have noticed is how much of our seniority, which is our permission, our ability to give ourselves permission, which exists right here in the crown, how much of our seniority have we given away? We've done that in so many ways. People have done that with their doctors. They say, okay, doc, you know everything about my body, and you're just gonna do what's best for me. Instead of taking responsibility for our own lives, our bodies, our families, and that's all about being more empowered. And so being able to defend yourself, here we have the police forces. Many are stepping down or standing down, whatever you want to call it. And it's like we don't know that we can rely on the people that we thought were going to defend us anymore. And so my personal opinion for myself is that I want to be more prepared. I want to be over prepared than under prepared. And so maybe this triggers a lot for you. I think there are definitely some people who should never have guns, and that there is a lot of things that can help you feel safer around using a gun. So one, which I'm an advocate of, is releasing the excess anger that people have. Guns and anger don't mix very well, right? And neither does fear and anger. So when those two, especially those two energies, can be released, your experience with a gun will be completely different. And I'm also not an advocate for people just going out and buying a gun and then putting it in their, bedroom closet so it's available if you ever need it. That is totally dangerous. You need to know how to be safe with a firearm. And there's a lot of steps to it. There's a lot of protocols. You always want to treat that gun as though it's loaded, always, even if it's unloaded. because you just may not be present one time when you go to pick up that gun and it happens to be loaded. So things like that, or being aware of what's behind what you're aiming at or what you're shooting at. Are there innocent bystanders? Is there something that's going to be completely destroyed if the gun goes off? So there's lots of little protocols and things that people need to be aware of to really be safe with a handgun. So, maybe this is triggering a lot of stuff for you. Maybe it triggers all the fears in you. Maybe you have some past lives where you were killed, where you were executed. And the idea of even thinking of holding a handgun is terrifying. And if that's the case, then that would be a really great opportunity for you to step more fully into your power. And instead of backing away from fear, moving towards fear so that you can eliminate it. That's how you step more and more into your ultimate power. So that's what we're going to do today. There's one other thing that I wanted to check. So as I do this clearing, there's a few things I want to check. I want to check the levels of anger and fear around guns. I also want to check the masculine and feminine balance of energies in your body. If you're one of the things I noticed there is that most of the women there were very masculine, had a lot of masculine energy and very, very little feminine energy. And of course, I believe that both of those should be at 100%. And also another thing I noticed is that when during the target practice, that people were also not in their bodies all the way. Like they were only in their bodies between 15 and 50%. So most of the people there were probably getting triggered. Maybe they had some past life stuff, and so it felt uncomfortable. That's why people leave their bodies. They're not in their body all the way. And that's also not a safe way to handle a gun. You need to be completely present, not only with all your masculine logic and protocols and structure and all that stuff, but also using and having access to all of your intuition. When you're using a gun, the more intuitive you can be about using it, the less mistakes you're going to make. You're not going to shoot someone by accident because you are completely aware always of everything that's going on around you. You're not going to mistake someone for a bad guy when they're holding a cell phone. So really important in my mind to have really 100% of each of those masculine and feminine energies. So during this clearing, I'm going to measure fear and anger, and then we'll just see what else you're bringing to the table that's getting stirred up as a result of even thinking about the possibility of using a gun. Now, if that's what you're thinking of too, the place that I went and got trained is in Pahrump, Nevada, and it's called Front Sight. So you can look that up online and get more information there if you're interested. So let's go ahead and do a quick clearing today. And as always, I love hearing where you're coming from, where you're calling in from. And also, if you have any questions about this that you want me to look at, that would be really cool. And we'll see if anybody has any questions over here. None. Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and do a clearing. And we'll see what we find. All right, so it always starts with getting ultra grounded. So you're going to send down that grounding cord from the base of your spine all the way to the center of the planet. So it looks like fear kind of contracted your energies, and it actually pulled up your grounding cord. Thanks for sharing, Crystal. And so we're going to put your grounding cord back down all the way to the center so you can release all of these fears. Awesome. And then you're going to send those roots down from the bottoms of your feet, deep into the earth, so we can start bringing up that safe energy of the earth and its abundance, feminine energy through the legs. Excellent. And then let's see if you have a worry circle around this. Yes, out to that third layer. So let's pull this in so that if this is something you're considering doing, you can do it from a really grounded place. Awesome. And then as we bring pure source down through the creative rings above your head, like what kind of desires and intentions would you want to have with using a gun if that's what you decided to do? Okay. So my goal would be hopefully to never have to use one. I wouldn't want to have to make all those choices, but if I ever did, I would be ready. Okay, and then through that crown, so it's stopping right there. So right now, hang on, there we go. Okay, so it was a poor connection. Okay, so right now you're having a hard time giving yourself permission to make this choice if this was something you wanted to do. So out to the third layer, we're going to pull in that energy that relates to giving your crown, like connecting your power to your crown, to your permission. So we're going to pull in that energy from the third layer. There we go. And then as we pull this down through the crown, sixth chakra. So there's some beliefs in here. One, two, three. All the way out to the 15th layer. So that's that 1% energy. And of course, the 1% wants us to not be in control or in charge. They would love everyone to give up their guns so they can all just be sitting ducks and easily controlled. So this is one of our amendment rights to own a gun and to be able to defend ourselves. And there's also, it's not just people that we need to defend ourselves. I don't know if you saw the video of the guy who was tracked for 6 minutes by that mountain lion. He was very lucky, but sometimes you're not, and sometimes there are wild animals that you're endangered by. So it's not just people. Okay, 7, 6. Okay, so that energy at that 15th layer is still there. So let's focus a little bit more on pulling in that 1% energy at the sixth chakra. So these are all the beliefs that, the world is crazy and there's nothing you can do about it. And you just have to look around and see that that's just the way it is. Well, that's not. You can step into your power, your ultimate power. And this may be one way that you might choose to do so. And there's also, you're releasing a lot of rage in this sixth chakra. It's kind of angry making just to think that we have come to this point where we have to even do this, like that we have to take responsibility to defend ourselves. It was so much nicer when we relied on the police, but things are changing, aren't they? Okay, so as we bring that down through the sixth and the throat and the heart, so right there at the heart, there's a lot of energy. Also out to that 15th layer. So yes, that 1% wants us to think that all of our struggles are our fault. It's all our fault that things are such a mess. So collectively, that could be true. We have collectively created all of this, haven't we? But we can also collectively change the outcome. The more of us that are empowered, instead of giving up our power to these forces, the less they'll be able to continue to control us. So as we bring this energy down through the solar plexus, second chakra, spilling down the root, great. So now you're vertical. So now let's mix these two energies, the earth energy coming up through the legs with that pure source coming down the backside. And now we're going to mix it, bring it up the front, real close to the spine. Two, three. So it's stopping right at the heart. Out to that 15th layer. So more of that 1% energy. I actually noticed that during the training that they showed up a lot in my energy field. Like third chakra, 15th layer, a lot of that. Okay, good. And then as we bring this energy up through the heart and the throat, sixth chakra, crown, rings, and then down through all the layers of the aura, let's clear that third layer, that part that might still feel powerless. And this doesn't mean that also if you choose not to have a gun, that that it means you're less powerful than those who own a gun. That certainly is not the case at all. So I just want to make sure that you don't believe that I'm trying to say that you'll be more powerful if you have a gun. That may or may not be true. If you're already feeling powerless and then you have a gun, you're still going to feel as powerless. So just owning a gun doesn't make you more powerful. Just like having more money, money doesn't give you security or power. It amplifies things. And so a gun might do the same thing. It might amplify how angry you are or how scared you are. So just having a gun is not going to change things. So that's why we're clearing all of these energies, because it's the energies that is what changes things. So coming up through the crown, I'm going to go through all the layers of the aura now. Let's pay special attention to that third layer. Okay, I guess we already did that. I'm a little behind. Let's jump out to the 15th layer. We're going to start at the bottom and clear that energy up. So through that third layer. Through the third layer. Excellent. Okay, 15. And the 20th layer, the most powerful part of your aura, the layer where the awakened predator lives, also wants to get cleared. So we're going to start at the top there and right around the sixth chakra, so the beliefs of this awakened predator. Also, I didn't know that you can't go to this training if you have any kind of a felony. So you don't find the criminals there at the shooting range or at the training. 20. Then let's clear the 30th layer, starting at the bottom, lifting that all the way up. So just up around the crown and 6th chakra, where they, being the reptilians, want to take away our permission, our abilities to give ourselves permission. Okay, great. And then let's clear that circle of reciprocity. So the upper 4 chakras and however many rings you have, we're going to bring all those energies simultaneously out the right arm. So it's stopping right at that right shoulder. So let's pull these energies out. So that you can give with this masculine energy and receive with the feminine. So as it's coming up the left hand, left arm, maybe you want to receive more protection. Just bring that in through the heart, throat, 6 crown rings. Okay, great. So let's check and see the level of anger that you have. It's at 50%. So that's not enough to like really feel angry, but you would feel annoyed, frustrated, irritated, edgy, judging yourself and others. So let's see where that is. 6th chakra, out to that 3rd layer. So let's clear those beliefs that make you feel a little powerless. Okay, good. Okay, great. And so 7, 6. Also at the heart, out to that 3rd layer. So maybe you're judging yourselves and making yourselves wrong. This is a very common way that people try to motivate themselves, is by, if they crack the whip hard enough on themselves, then they'll do that thing that they want to do. But it doesn't get done until they get mad at themselves. So that's not a really good motivator. It's not sustainable. Okay, the rest of that. So let's see. It looks clear. Anger is now at 0. So just notice if you feel a little calmer. And then let's clear the fear. Fear. 95. So guns are scary, no doubt about it. So, and part of the fear is not knowing enough about guns or not being familiar with them. And so I noticed that for myself, once I was trained and I had a chance to practice, that I'm not afraid of guns. I wasn't really afraid of them before. But at any rate, maybe I was more than I thought. I think I was. Anyway, now I'm not afraid of guns. So the fear, let's see where that is. 6th chakra, 2nd layer. So there's probably also some past lives related to this fear. I'm seeing about three past lives. So let's clear those energies. So, and these are past lives where maybe you got killed, but also where you saw other people getting killed with a gun. Okay, let's pull all of that in, yeah. Whew. Okay, great. 7, 6. Then let's go to the heart, out to that 3rd layer. So in those past lives, you can let go of any judgments or where you made yourself wrong for either getting killed or maybe you saw other people dying at the hands of a gun. And also, there's some guilt that's also being released over having killed someone else. Like maybe it was self-defense, but still, it still is disturbing. It's disturbing. I've never had an abortion, but I could only imagine that even if, say, you were raped or and you got pregnant and then you had an abortion, that would still be incredibly traumatic for the body and for your psyche and everything. So even though it may feel justified, doesn't make it easy necessarily. Okay, great. So we're just clearing all that judgment out of the heart. Just bring in some forgiveness. 4. And then down at the root, all the way out to the 15th layer. So let's pull that 1% energy out of the root chakra so that we're not feeling so on edge and not able to feel grounded or safe. Like if you're someone who doesn't want to get a gun, this would really be a good energy to clear on a regular basis so that you can feel more safe in your body. Okay, great. So let's check the fear level now. So now it's at 0. And notice how that feels in your body. Does it feel calmer? Does it feel less edgy? Like you can breathe now? Okay, cool. And then let's also check the masculine and feminine energy. So we want the masculine to be at 100. 95%. So let's see where that last 5% is that wants to get activated. In the root chakra. So out to that 3rd layer. So maybe you had some, male figures in your life that were less than exemplary and you don't want to be like that. So we're just going to let all that go. Yes, Smile says, my husband has a gun above our bedroom door. It bugs me for some reason, but I just don't look at it. He must be tall. So that's an interesting place for a gun. Hopefully it's secured well so that an earthquake doesn't knock it off the wall. And I'm assuming it's loaded. Okay, good. Okay, so let's see. So the fear, we were doing that masculine. Okay, good. Masculine, 100% now. So let's check the feminine energy. Is at 50%. So let's bring that all the way to 100% so that you can, if you decided to do this, would have more access to more of your feminine energy, that intuitive energy, that high radar that knows what's going on all around you, 360 degrees. Let's go to the 6th chakra, out to that 3rd layer. So there's a common mistaken belief that's held here, that the feminine energy is a weak energy. And so a lot of people don't want to be in that feminine energy because they don't want to be weak. So that's a lie. Feminine energy, it's different, but it's in some ways can be even more powerful than masculine energy. Our intuition, our infinite intelligence in our heart, the feminine energy is all about the heart. So when we are really connected to our infinite intelligence and our intuition, and that's very, very powerful energy. So men can be stronger with muscles, but that might be where it ends. And I don't mean ending a life. I'm not talking about that. Okay, so feminine energy. 7, 6, 5. Let's go down to the second chakra, out to the 15th layer. So that's that 1% in this space. Pushing down our creative energy. So in that second chakra, this is where women create the most powerful. It's a powerful energy to be able to create a whole nother human being, right? Like men can't do that. That's super powerful. Not saying we're better than. Okay. And then in the root, out to the third layer. So this is another place that energy, where that energy is often confused with feeling weak, like we don't want to feel weak. So a lot of women are afraid to access all of their feminine energy. A lot of people, period. Okay, let's see. Feminine is now 100%. Excellent. So, and if you wanted to get, say if you were going to decided to get a gun, and you went to the training, you could put up an avatar for that. So that, and that's what I did throughout the whole 4 days. I had an avatar that represented my training, my firearms training, and I made sure it was grounded and that the earth energy was coming up through the legs. It didn't have a worry circle, you know, just running all the energies through it. And I did really well. So something to keep in mind. So just because, you know, someone decides to get a firearm, it doesn't mean that, you know, like I know for myself, that doesn't mean I'm going to go down to all the protests now. And like I stay as far away from all of that stuff as I possibly can. And I certainly don't feel like I'm inviting trouble in just because I have a gun now. The world is changing, and you need to listen for yourself what's going to be best for you. But hopefully this will help if you decided that you wanted a gun. So let's see, there was another comment back here. Just looking at a gun scares me. My dad was a former sniper, and husband's family wants me to go deer hunting, and I just can't do it. Yeah, that's a hard thing to you know, kill an animal. But if it's you're starving to death, you might have a different view about shooting for food. This is not just shooting for sport, I'm assuming. You're not just going out and shooting deer just for the fun of it. So that's a whole different thing. And then of course, learning how to be trained in this, you will have a completely different view of guns once you've been trained properly by experts. Well, that's my share for today. And we have coming up, tomorrow's our last day for our daily meditations that we've been doing. And we've been generating rich resources and been having some really great results. So if you want to join us for the next one, which is starting 11/11, so November 11th, I'm all about the numbers. So the ones have to do with how your thoughts create your reality. So this next phase is, this next series is going to be called Realigning to the New Era. So no matter what the results are of the next election, it's going to create a new era. And how do we become aligned with this? When the dust settles, you know, which direction are we going to help create the consciousness of humanity? In which direction are we going to help them go and grow? So this is what this next series is going to be all about, is how do we align for this new era, this incoming golden age, that there's still a lot of debris that's, you know, the trash is still being taken out. But it's a great daily practice, and for those of you who are in it, no doubt you can attest to that. And so hopefully you'll be joining us for that next series. So the links are now up, and we'll post it here as well. All right, go off and enjoy and have a beautiful weekend while we still have some great weather and no smoke, at least not in this area. All right, sending much love. Keep asking my favorite question. How does it get any better than this? Then stay in that blissful question of, I wonder. Sending much love, friends. Namaste.